Everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. I want to talk this week a little bit about perspective and I want to dial that perspective into kind of an area that is kind of taboo to talk about, which is politics. And the reason I bring this up is we're just coming through November elections and we're dealing with this government shutdown, which is creating all kinds of problems. And as a result of it, you can feel a lot of tension, you can feel a lot of anger and a lot of hostility and divisiveness right now, which is understandable because I think, the American people are very hungry for change. They're very hungry to see things go the right direction and see us kind of get back on track, so to speak. And regardless of political party or not, some people are staunch partisan one way or the other. Others have maybe lost their confidence and are less partisan than they used to be, and maybe desperate for some candidates and some politicians who seem to be for us. And a good example would be, I think, the government shutdown, which as I'm filming this, we're already beyond 35 days. So it's now the longest government shutdown in history. But, really, we have parties arguing over fine details of things they want. And ultimately, we elect and we hire and we pay these people to work on our behalf. And their job is to look out for the American people, to look out for the United States of America, and really to help guide us towards um, really what we are, which is the greatest empire in the history of the planet. And we need a lot of help to stay on top of things, right? And ultimately, it's very frustrating when we feel like those people we've entrusted with our future, which affect our businesses, which affect our personal lives, they affect our wallets right now when we go to the grocery store and basically when we go anywhere because of inflation. And ultimately, again, we entrust these people to help guide this country in the right direction. And it just seems sometimes like no matter what we do, we can't get any momentum. It's like the people that we elect, we can't trust to look out for our best interests. So, putting that into perspective, I believe, and I've said this before, I believe that if you get your news from um, social media in a lot of ways is weaponized to be able to drive an agenda, to create tension and get people arguing with one another. And I think ultimately, regardless of kind of somebody's stance, whether they're right, they're left, they're middle, whatever it might be, we should be able to sit down and have coffee together, have lunch together, and not really care about somebody's political affiliations because we're all people and we all want the same thing. If we really put that into perspective, I think we all want the same thing. We want solid, stable government. We want prosperity. We want responsible and accountable spending and management of budget so that we're not continuing to grow our deficits. And ultimately, we want to see something in return for the taxes we're paying. I've always said I'm fine paying taxes. I just want to see a return on that investment, so to speak. But anyways, for those who are frustrated, for those who are exhausted from it, just keep in perspective that we're all on the same side. And I've heard from several people lately just how absolutely utterly frustrated they are with the way things are. But kind of like Lord of the Rings, Gandalf said, "This too shall pass," right? And I think that that's true. If we look back in history, we go through cycles and things pass, and I think that that'll be the case now as well. I feel like we have what's called a false economy right now. Our stock market is booming, but many of the other economic indicators say we're in a recession, so to speak, depending on who you ask. I'm not an economist, but one way or the other, we kind of have a little bit of a false economy. However, I feel like we've kind of been down in that bottom for a bit now, which generally means the cycle is going to trend up and we're going to start to see things grow again. So, hopefully that's helpful. Put that into perspective. If you're frustrated, if you're down because of all this stuff, try to put it into perspective. And really, all we can do individually is set a good example, be positive, Don't get wrapped into the divisiveness. Don't get into arguments and discussions around stupid political views. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Let's just look out for one another and, focus on the things that are most important. So again, a little bit of a political theme, which is out of the norm for me, but I kind of feel like it's warranted right now because there's so many people who just kind of seem desperately frustrated, and hopefully that helps put in perspective. And if social media drives that, turn it off for a while. Just turn it off. Don't look at it. Don't watch the news. They sensationalize everything, and focus on what you can control, which is your circle of influence, and be a good example and a shining light every day. We'll see you next Wednesday.